Disney's Teacher's Pet had aired on ABC's One Saturday Morning block from 2000 to 2002. Halfway through its second season, though, the series was transferred to Toon Disney and had the remaining 5 episodes of the second season that was originally planned to be aired on ABC. Along with the remaining 13 episodes that was originally planned to be used as a third season, since ABC Kids was being developed around that time. For the 2002 to 2003 season, when originally aired, the series was praised for its animation, humor, and wit. It was also great with ratings. Despite this, Disney pretty much threw the show under the bus later on, and by September 14th, 2002, it was removed from ABC altogether for the new ABC Kids block. There was also a series finale theatrical movie that premiered on January 16th, 2004. And just like the series, despite it having positive reviews, the movie was a box office failure, only making little half of its budget back on it. This was mainly due to the fact that Disney barely promoted it outside of promos on TV and other DVDs that were being released around that time. As for the series, Toon Disney eventually stopped rerunning the series a few years later, and since on June 1st, 2006, the show hasn't been on any of the Disney networks since then. The movie itself and the first episode had been released on its own DVD, Teacher's Pet the Movie, but the other 46 separate episodes remained unavailable to the world and had never been on demand or iTunes or whatsoever. It wasn't until late 2008 that on YouTube, people started to post up the old original recordings from when the show first aired on ABC and Toon Disney. Other episodes were eventually posted in the early 2013, and the fourth until Disney claimed copyright on all the episodes and had them taken off the internet. The good news is that episodes were available online through a social media special-made Facebook page. One to host said episodes, and also recently, they had uploaded onto Dailymotion too. Also someone has taken all the season 1 episodes and placed onto a homemade DVD set for sale. Free, but enough of that, on to the pasta. Disney's Teacher's Pet was an ABC Saturday morning show that was about a blue dog named Spot that dressed up as a 4th grade boy and went to school under the name Scott Lead Ready 2. Along with its master and the friends Leonard, and now many people would call his stupid premises. Let's face it, even if you like the series, how could no one tell you that Scott had a dog's face or notice that the dog's ears can be slightly seen when his beanie is on? But actually, it was well written, witty, and even underrated. There were also other characters like Pretty Boy, Mr. Jolly, Leonardo's pet canary and cat, who would also talk too. Leslie, Leonard's love interest, and Mary Lou Helperman, otherwise known as Miss Helperman, who was Leonard's mother and teacher. There were also other characters in the school, and one noticeable character was Len Lazowski, and was a very gross and out kind of student. I'm surprised that no one ever thinks of him as special needs kind of kid. Well, anyway, let's stop and think for a second, and wonder how the hell can these animals talk like human beings, and yet never reveal it to anyone else? It seems kind of odd that this is well kept secret, since it would make a good communication with pets and humans much easier. I mean, has animals been able to communicate like this the whole time? Or maybe there's something else that we don't know about? Well, I think I might have the answer. You see, in the movie, it was revealed that Ivan Crank, Wacko, was developed a new machine that could change the pet's DNA and to make them look like humans. It's also discovered that Ian is related to Ivan Crank, and he is happy with Ian since he is the only one who believes in his inventions and interventions. Well, in the few scenes prior to Ian meeting up with his little cousin, he lets Leonard and Scott, who is now human at this point, free without realizing that Ivan had placed them in there for his intentions of proving that he's not a wacko. It is shown that despite being the gross and tobacco, he also actually is very intelligent when it comes to computers and hacking them. Afterwards hacks the computers, given the 21 flush salute to the queens of toilets in the UK, gross. It has been established that he and Ivan have a connection for gross stuff and computers prior to the movie, which makes me think about how the animals were able to walk and talk and all that jazz. You see, 2 years prior to the series premiere, right before the second grade, Ian had stayed with his uncle on the last week before school has started on sunny Florida to help Ivan with some of his inventions and whatnot. Well, on the last day before he left for his hometown, Ian was working on a new invention with Ivan that had predicted the machine that could turn animals into humans. Instead, he was working on a machine that could make it so that he could make it easier to communicate with the animals. With Ian on his side, the machine was complete with the codes surrounding the house and close together. The first test subject was on a frog that came out of Ivan Crank's swamp. They tested the machine on the frog, and as the machine was about to zap the frog, making it being able to talk to them in English, the machine instead flopped up and shot to the sky. By the way the time machine stopped, it was too worn out to try again, and the frog merely flopped away outside. Ian at this point had to leave for the bus ride home to East Westland, and Ivan moped that his inventions were worthless and that he was a failure. Little did he know that his machine did more than just give the frog the ability to speak through. The machine was not only managed to make it so every animal on the planet was able to talk in English now, or whatever language that they were supposed to speak, but also over time to start becoming more intelligent and becoming more aware of their surroundings. The animals never really questioned this, but they really knew to keep their mouths shut because they didn't want to be exposed. Over the next 2 years, Spot noticed that his master, Leonard, went to school and did his homework at nighttime. Spot became a bit envious of him, since Leonard was able to gain an education since he was human and Spot wasn't. It wasn't until 2000 when Leonard had his first day being the 4th grader and Spot had finally decided that he would be allowed to go to school. Henceforth, he started dressing up as Scott Reddy too. And despite of Leonard knowing his secret about him, and the other animals being able to walk and talk and whatnot, he and Spot still hung out as best buds at the school and other activities. In those 2 years of leading up to the events of the movie, Ivan Crank had gotten over his depression, and he realized that he wasn't a wacko, since his invention actually did work, since Ian was the one who had people to notice the differences, with the animals with them being able to talk now. Despite this, Ivan couldn't prove it to anyone else, since the other animals were smart enough not to respond to him, or any other human for that matter. Still, with the help of his cousin Ian over the winter, spring, and summer breaks, he had still been able to finish making up a machine that could transform animals into humans. This caught on wind in Florida, the Barry Anger show, even though near the middle of June, as Barry Anger and the rest of the audience members had presumably people watching it on their TVs at home, merely declared him as a wacko. But Ivan was persistent at finishing up his machine to prove that he was a genius and not a wacko. Before Spot appeared though, he had tried the experiment with the alligator and a fly, and to which their hybrids are both animal and human. The why Spot appeared to him as his dog self that Ivan didn't merely ask him to reveal himself to the public as a walking, talking dog is anyone's guess. But for him being able to turn Spot into a human being is the next big thing. Once you think about it, it does make legitimate sense. I mean, when Spot, after transforming into a human in the movie, thanks Ian for letting him and Leonard go, Ian seems to be somewhat aware that it's really Spot, or Scott, as a human being. Also, the events before the movie, in the episode One Dog's Junk, Spot's squeaky burger toy, is sold at the yard sale and is later revealed to be bought by Ian. Throughout the day, Scott tries to get said toy back without revealing it, and it's not important to him because it's his dog toy. But by the end though, since Ian had bought it for new one online, he gave the other one to Spot, which to some extent implies that you must know that Spot is really Scott in a costume. Not only that, but in the episode Bad Fur Day, when Scott imagines what would happen if he went to school with his new hairstyle, he looked like a poodle, as everyone obviously laughs at him for his silly look. It's Ian who points out that he and Leonard's dog, Spot, look similar due to the hairstyle looks. To be fair, Youngie is the one who claims that Scott is actually Spot in disguise, but still. And considering how that it helped to make it so that animals can communicate to humans, that's less of a stretch. Well, you know how the background of the universe is of Disney's Teacher's Pet. Don't even try to wrap you mind too much about it. And that, my little pretties, was Disney's Teacher's Pet, Fury. I guess you could call it a Fury. Disney's Teacher's Pet, Fury creepypasta. My final thoughts on the story. I gotta be completely honest, this story was definitely a pretty interesting, story. I'm not gonna deny this right now. I remember listening to Goryparodies, review on this, Fury right here, but I could definitely say that it's honestly a pretty interesting, concept for it. But yeah, he did say due to YouTube's copyright policy, he couldn't put the review of it. But he definitely said that, I remember he narrated the story, but I don't really remember too much about it because it's been quite a long time since I last sat there and listened to one of Goryparodies' videos. Now, I do know that Linkin Park Rules 227 also narrated this story, and that was like 5 years ago. And I do know for a fact that Seabass narrated this one uh, a year ago as well as Dave the Useless. So I thought I would go ahead and, give it a shot at this story. Now, I'm gonna sit here and say this right now. I have never watched Teacher's Pet. I mean, I kind of did see parts of it, but I wasn't really that interested in it. Even when I was a kid, I didn't really care for this series. I've never watched it, so I don't really know much about this. But I do agree with this Fury, Spot being, well, Scott in disguise or something. I mean, this Fury is actually pretty accurate to, why the animals are talking and stuff. I could definitely see this being the case with Teacher's Pet because this is not completely out of the ordinary for Teacher's Pet, even if you've watched the show itself. Now, I don't remember much about it. I think I did watch it when I was a kid, but just don't really remember. I wasn't really that interested in that to begin with, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I said I don't remember because, I haven't watched this in a while. But anyways, I guess with that being said, I'm gonna sit here and just say, the grammar's pretty good with the story as well as the good, storyline with the Fury. I mean, it has a really great backstory. It has really good background information of this show. It does have like a really good, interesting, story. But I do really like how well made the storyline is for this story. So, I guess with that being said, with that being the case, I can't seem to find out who the original author of this story is, so I'm going to leave this as anonymous for now. If the original author manages to find this story and he or she comments on my post of this, if the author manages to comment on, this video, if they happen to be the author of the story, I'll be sure to give them proper credit. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it as anonymous for now, unless I've been, told about, who the author of this story is. So, yeah, since I'm unable to find out who the author of the story is, I'm gonna leave it as anonymous for now. So, with that being the case, and with that being said, I'm gonna sit here and just say this right now. This is just my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that is perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these, well, creepypastas. But this is more of a fury, in my opinion. This is more of a fury pasta, but I definitely really like this one. And I actually thought it was a really neat story. So I definitely have to say, it's a great story. It's definitely well made in detail. There's definitely a very good storyline behind this. So I would have to say, to the author of this story, great job. And I hope you comment on this video to let me know that they're the one who wrote this story. So, yeah. Anyways, I guess with that being said, yeah. Like I'm gonna say right now, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepy pastas or fury pastas, whatever you prefer to call it. And this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of the story would have to be a 10 out of 10. It's a very great, enjoyable fury pasta. Definitely well made in detail. I definitely do appreciate the good time and effort into this story. I'm assuming this was written, 7, 8 years ago. I don't remember when this story was actually written. But if the author of the story manages to find the story and comments on this video, lets me know that he or she was the one who wrote the story. I don't even know which one who wrote the story because I can't find the author's name, like I said before. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it as anonymous unless the author manages to comment on this video and lets me know that they're the ones who wrote it. So, anyways, what did you guys think about this Fury Pasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done person to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.